Are we in? Sorry, I was looking at the Twitch. I had the Twitch up at the same time, and it was still in the intro, so I didn't know to say hey. That's okay. How's it going, everybody? Welcome to Level 7. You're listening to a very special episode of the Agents of Fandom podcast. We are live. We are talking some Obi-Wan Kenobi. But before we get into that, I'm joined, of course, by my wonderful, charming co-host Garrett. How are you doing today?
I'm doing good. It's a good day. Feels like a lot of stuff has happened today, and we're gonna talk about some of it today, some of it tomorrow. I can't wait. I'm excited.
Yeah, we're gonna get into it. We're splitting this in two. We got a Obi-Wan episode today. We're gonna be streaming live again tomorrow, 12 p.m. Pacific, 3 p.m. Eastern, talking some Ms. Marvel. But it's not Ms. Marvel Day yet. It's Kenobi Day. And to talk some Kenobi, we are joined by a very special guest, our good friend from comicbook.com, one of the hosts of Phase Zero, Jaime Jirak. How's it going, Jamie?
Oh, so happy to be here. I love doing two podcasts in one day, but also talking about different things. It makes me happy.
Exactly. There was one of those days today where I was just tired. It was a busy content day. And I knew as soon as we started and as soon as we got going, my energy would be fired back up. And I'm excited to dive into things today. And yeah, how are you doing? I caught Phase Zero today. Obviously, you guys were talking Marvel, Ms. Marvel, and some Thor trailers and stuff like that. And I gotta say, I didn't catch it live today, but I spat out my drink when I was listening, and you just said, yeah, I blacked out when I saw Tessa Thompson as Valkyrie licking that sword.
How are you gonna do that to my brain? Make that woman lick a sword? I have a day of work to do. Marvel? Come on.
It's so funny. When I first watched it, I maybe was doing something else at the same time and looked away at the exact second that happened, so didn't notice it, and then was scrolling through the timeline later and saw the slow motion gif of it, and I was like, oh, I gotta go back and rewatch the tease. That was so cool.
Yeah, I tweeted that I don't know what else happened in that trailer, and I meant it.
Exactly. And
do you need to know what else happened?
Classic Marvel too. When we have a Black Adam trailer drop this morning, which we knew days and days in advance that this was going to be coming today, and Marvel, just as soon as it comes out, they drop the Thor trailer and their new teaser announcing that tickets are going on sale. And I feel like that's becoming a little bit of a habit for them. And honestly, I find it kind of funny. But we're not going to talk too much about the Thor trailer today or Ms. Marvel. That is going to be on tomorrow's show with our guy Mo from Streamer. Next week, we're also going to be bringing you 2 episodes as well. One, we're going to be talking Obi-Wan with the amazingly talented Rachel Leishman from the Mary Sue.
Rachel!
She's so awesome, and I can't wait to link up. It was actually shout out to Layla, because it was Layla who set this up for us and got us in contact. So we're very excited for that episode next week, as well as we're keeping the streamer train going. And Britt Crowley is going to be joining us for a episode of Ms. Marvel. And the only real news I think we want to touch on too much before we get into Obi-Wan is that Black Adam trailer that came out today. And to be perfectly honest, I don't have that much to say. It was pretty close to what I was expected. I wasn't underwhelmed. It wasn't bad, but I was just I was whelmed. I was just straight whelmed. Garrett, I know you saw a funny joke about it on Twitter.
I did. And it's funny that you mentioned earlier that we've known that it was going to come out for a little bit of time, and I 100% forgot about it until it happened. I almost forgot about it again after it happened because of watching Kenobi. So, but it's a movie that's going to come out. And yeah, I saw a funny joke. I think the tagline is just horrendous on the poster. I don't remember what it was. The world needed a hero and they got Black Adam. It's okay. Are we in 2006? I feel like we can do a little bit better than this. And then also the narration in the trailer is I died a slave, came back a god. And then it was it just felt very lame to me. So
to be fair, they have been making this for about 15 years. So it probably, so it would have done better then. Yeah,
I'm you're right. It would have done better, but modernize it a bit.
Exactly. But that's all right. I'm sure I'm still excited for it to come out, and I'm looking forward to watching it. But it's not the only big time movie that's been releasing. The review embargo on Jurassic World dropped today. Jamie, I know you fired out a review on comicbook.com. Why don't you feed us your spoiler-free thoughts, and then of course let the people know where they can find the article.
Yeah. So my review's up on comics.com. It's also, you can find it in my Instagram stories. My review is one of the more positive reviews. I gave it a 3.5 out of 5. That's not great, but compared to some of the other reviews, the thing about this movie is it's so long. It's the longest movie of the franchise by a lot. It doesn't need to be. There's so much going on. We don't want that. All we want is to see the original Jurassic Park stars and some dinosaurs. And they give a whole lot of nonsense. That being said, I really loved the final third of the movie. And for me, it was kind of worth the whole thing. I'm easy to please. So some people maybe don't want to sit through like an hour and 50 minutes just to enjoy 35 minutes. I really liked that part of it. So, my review was more generous, but when I saw it, I knew the reviews were going to be rough. But it's still going to make a ton of money, and people, people are going to enjoy it. It's not like Morbius where it's horrible. It's just like, it's just messy.
I still haven't seen Morbius.
Good for you. Don't bother.
I don't plan on it anytime soon. It's gonna be like a hungover Sunday, got absolutely nothing going on, and it's on streaming. That's gonna be the Morbius.
You're gonna do that to yourself when you're hungover? Are you a sadist?
Half asleep, looking at my phone, that kind of thing. It'll be good times. But I know as well, like before, obviously we're going to be going in depth to Ms. Marvel before, and we don't want to be going talking spoilers in case anyone hasn't seen it yet, but like Garrett, because he's being a phenomenal boyfriend and waiting.
This is true. I watched like 15 minutes and then I was like, wait, which topic are we streaming about today? Oh wait, Kenobi. So then I switched and then started watching Kenobi, and so I'll just rewatch those 15 minutes with her.
I'm going to be watching it for my third or fourth time. I can't even really remember when I watched with Ada.
Flex.
So that all I'm saying is I didn't do as good a job. I didn't wait, but that's okay. Jamie, I am curious though, what you thought of the first episode, and have you seen the second one already? And if so, what do you think so far?
Nope, I only saw the first one and I thought it was delightful. Really good time. I enjoyed it very much. I'm looking forward to the next 5. It's just a good time. It's just a sweet, fun, wholesome good time, and that's what we need sometimes. So I'm into it.
For my first 15 minutes, I completely agree with you. I was like, it was really hard for me to like pause, switch, start Kenobi because I was having such a good time. I can't wait to watch the rest of it.
We got Matt Aguilar in the chat, and he says, "Not Morbius, just messy." Needs to be the pull quote from your article that gets posted all over the Jurassic World.
Let me email my Universal contacts. Let them know that this is my official quote. Put me in the trailer. The TV spot.
It's been trending on Twitter every other day.
In our Agents of Fandom group chat today, we were discussing one of our agents who was able to see it, Isaac. We were like, hey, do you like want to push out a review for it? And he's like, he wrote this thing about, it was really bad. It gave me a headache. I was pretty mad when I left the theater. So like, I don't know if you really want me to write an article. And then people kept pulling out like small quotes out of it and being like, it was real.
It was, I walked into the theater and the smell of butter and popcorn encapsulated my nostrils. I entered the cinema and the trailers began. After the trailers, there was a film. After the film, I went home. And that was like,
so we're toying with actually posting a meme review. So stay tuned on that. It could be pretty funny.
I've learned from doing my job that like the pull quotes, they're a little. One time, I won't say what it was for, but for a project, I gave them because sometimes they ask you for quotes, not just from the review. They ask you to say some things, and I emailed, and they were like, "Well, what about this?" And they just wrote something and asked if I can be credited for it. And I was like, at the time, I was like, I really did love what this movie was. So I was like, yeah, sure. And then it actually got put on a promotional thing. And then I felt icky about it. I was like, I shouldn't have agreed to that because they just made up a quote by me that I did not say. I really still feel deeply icky about it. It's something I didn't share, so you won't find it on my socials because it wasn't a real thing I said. But I learned a little bit that day.
It's always going to be red in your ledger now.
Yeah,
we'll know.
Yes.
Jamie's got ghostwriters on ghostwriters. But that's it on the external news from the week. We'll touch on more of Ms. Marvel, of course, tomorrow. It is time to talk some Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm absolutely loving this show so far. Episode 4, I think, was my favorite one that we've seen. I love the shirt you got on, Jamie, because
super yucky. Shout out.
And something I thought was cool. I just saw like an old Tumblr post pop up on Twitter the other day, and it was talking about how even though Darth Maul lost the fight in the prequel trilogy, the dark side won the Duel of the Fates because Qui-Gon died, and Qui-Gon was the leader and the mentor that Anakin needed. And when they lost him, the light side lost that fight. And I got chills when I was reading it. I was like, wow, that is a great point. I kind of agree with you there. Jamie, what have you thought about this show as a whole so far?
Guys, oh my God. I can't hold the words. It is the greatest thing that's ever happened to me, which is the first time I've said that since WandaVision. It is giving me that kind of feeling where I cannot believe this exists. It feels like it exists specifically for me. I love every Star Wars movie. There is not a single Star Wars film I don't love. And for example, I saw Solo in theaters, didn't really like it, just bought it, kept watching it, and until I made myself like it. Like, I'm not trying to be a negative fan. I'm just gonna make
Solo.
myself
I always liked it. I liked it the first time I saw it. I never understood the hate.
I liked it the 4th, 5th, 6th, 7th time I saw it. I also think it has the best costumes of the franchise, but that's not the point. The point is that I am easy to please when it comes to Star Wars, but I can't stress enough that Obi-Wan Kenobi is like next level. The original trilogy is, one of my favorite movies of all time. I would say my second favorite movie of all time is the original Star Wars after Grease. And I also though love the prequels because I was 9, 12, and 15 when they came out. I was raised on the prequels, and I cannot believe how perfect of a bridge this is between the prequels and the sequels, because or not the sequels, the original trilogy, because it looks and feels like the original trilogy, but it's starring Ewan McGregor. I could not be happier. Every second of it, I have not a stitch of complaint. No, I have one complaint, and it should have been called Kenobi. That would have been a cleaner title.
I could agree with that.
Yeah, I agree with you. Just Kenobi, just Obi-Wan. Every time I go through it and I'm trying to tweet about the show and the content we're doing, I see Obi-Wan is like always the tag on Twitter that has by far the most posts. So I always feel like I should do that one, but that's not the actual title of the show. No. And yeah,
just call it Ben. Like I would
something
that would have been cool actually.
But I do not like the title. That's my only complaint.
Oh my gosh, that's
put
awesome.
that one on the Obi-Wan Kenobi commercial.
The poll quote.
The title sucks. Jaime Jirak. Garrett, I know you were feeling kind of cautiously optimistic after watching the first 2 episodes. How has your mindset changed after we're 4 deep?
3 was a turning point for me. I was so hooked. 4, I think it's a bit of a step back from that episode because that was just so hype. And that's not even I'm not even saying that as a bad thing. It's just how it goes, in the plot. It was such a high moment. And how jazzed I was to be getting Fortress Inquisitorius from, the Fallen Order games. Seeing the torture room that the table that Cal Kestis sat in, I was so hyped about that. And something I didn't even think about when I was watching the episode for the first time, but I actually read your tweet, Jamie, it was so A New Hope with them sneaking around and everything. That was something that never crossed my mind. But then when I rewatched it with Nina before the episode, I was like, wow, She could not be more spot on with that.
I tweeted it instantly because I know the way the toxic fans can be in the Star Wars fandom, and they're gonna say things like, "Oh, it's so silly how he's walking down that hallway and the stormtroopers don't see him," or the trench coat. That's what A New Hope is. They just keep getting lucky. It's goofy. He's, the trench coat's not much more sillier than him in that big stormtrooper outfit. People forget that these original movies were fun and silly too, and when I cannot. It's the biggest compliment I can give this show is that this episode reminded me so much of A New Hope.
One of my favorite parts of this episode was when Tala she beats the crap out of some stormtroopers, but she has the microphone in her hand that she's been communicating with Obi with. And she hits him in the head with it, and you can hear the pang of the reverberation of the microphone. It was such a goofy little sound, but I loved it.
And I mean, Star Wars has been built on stormtroopers being inept, so that doesn't bother me that they're not seeing them going through there.
I was watching with Tony, my boyfriend, and when the way that Obi-Wan just kind of walked by those stormtroopers and he didn't notice, Tony cackled and he was like, "Oh, I love the consistency of an incompetent stormtrooper." I was like, yes, thank you for being a man that I want sitting next to me when I watch this show.
I've also loved sorry, TJ, you go.
I can't remember if it was Rebels or Clone Wars, but they have a specific episode of the people on Kamino being no, you really should stick with more clones. They're gonna be the way to go for your army. Nah, that's fine. Yeah, Bad Batch. It was Bad Batch. You're right. Nah, that's fine. We're just gonna roll with these troopers. That's gonna go well. No, it's not gonna go well. I thought it was hilarious that they brought it back and they touched on that because that was absolutely hilarious.
And the conversations, the mini conversations that we've been getting between the stormtroopers, in the background throughout the season has been phenomenal.
We got in the last episode another T-16 reference. When Freck, is that his name? You could, because I watch everything in subtitles, so you could see that they were hitting it in the background. I think I think was it Filoni that said that it's been squeezed into everything they've done so far as that joke.
Yeah.
I love that so much. Filoni's a mastermind and I love him. The cast and crew have obviously been amazing, and we've touched on it lots throughout the episodes, but one person specifically I want to get your thoughts on is the third sister, Reva, because she's just, this performance by Moses Ingram has just been so breathtakingly amazing, and I'm very interested to know of what you think of her as kind of the main antagonist beside Vader in this one.
The only Obi-Wan thing I have pre-ordered so far is a Reva. I'm so bad with those letters in my brain. Action figure, because she's awesome. I love Lady Villains. She's scary. She's cool. She's just doing such a good job. I'm so 100% in for her, to the point where there've been theories that maybe she'll turn good, and I'm like, nah, just keep being bad. But when Vader got her in this episode in the chokehold, I was like, no, she can't. If she dies, I'll be so pissed. I was like, but of course, then Vader was all pleased again. When Vader was storming down that hallway, I got scared. I have never been so scared of Vader than I have been in these last 2 episodes of Obi-Wan Kenobi. Maybe the end of Rogue One, but that was more just you couldn't be 10 times. You didn't have time to be scared because you couldn't believe what was happening.
It was cool. It was 6 seconds too. It was so quick. So it was but these are lingering moments, where you're oh, she's up in the air, suspended, choking for a good amount of time.
I just love scary Vader so much, and I'm just so excited that this is all happening, because even in the original trilogy, he's obviously good, he's scary, but he's I even as a kid I wasn't afraid of him like I am currently.
Yeah, I agree, especially now that we're older and we know all the backstory behind him, and we've seen Clone Wars, we've seen the prequels, we know we're connected to this character, we know what he's been through, and then we're you were so good and now you're so bad. That makes it that much scarier.
The episode 3, when he was just walking down that alleyway, just snapping necks with the Force just for fun, it really sets that in. And with a character like Darth Vader, who started out in pop culture so long ago and was immediately infamous, arguably the greatest and most well-known villain, even character in like fantasy, sci-fi, fiction type stories. When you go back to him and give us more, you run the risk of demystifying him a little bit, and it's done the opposite. They've handled it so well from Rogue One through Kenobi. It's been so good. And a Reva theory that I kind of have a little bit of interest in, and is not her ending good, but her being so driven and focused on Kenobi because she was a youngling, and she's actually trying to get to be beside Darth Vader because she's trying to overthrow Darth Vader. I feed into that one a little bit. I don't hate that idea. We talked about this in the past as well, that how does she know that Vader is Anakin? Not very many people know that. One of the people in the galaxy who knows that is Darth Maul behind Crimson Dawn. This is set near the same time as Solo. Kira could be running wins. Maybe Reva and Kira are a squad up with Maul, and that's how they know about Anakin. I don't know, but I'm definitely interested in this character, and I can't wait to see more of her.
Yeah, when she's interrogating Leia, I could have watched 8 hours of the two of them. Like, what a forceful battle of wits. And the fact that she was losing to a 10-year-old is hilarious. But oh my God, that was one of my favorite parts of the episode, was those two. They're just such lights of this show.
Yeah, the way Moses Ingram delivered some of those lines was like actually chilling. And before we move on, I want to address something that I saw in the chat. Damon asked, who's scarier, this Vader or Homelander? And I just want to say, boys, if you haven't watched The Boys, close your ears, but it's easily Vader, because I'm not watching him getting jerked off. All right, like, simple as that. Like, Vader, I could never imagine Vader's sex life.
I haven't watched The Boys yet. I know I need to, but I love that apparently he gets jerked off, because the person that keeps telling me I need to watch The Boys is my mother. Every time I talk to her, have you watched The Boys yet? I'm like, no, Mom, I'm sorry, and she's like, well, I got my mom to watch Obi-Wan. She did not want to watch Obi-Wan because she has some personal issues with Ewan McGregor as a person. When I sent my mom my new tattoo of Ewan McGregor's face, she just goes, I don't like him. Sorry, Mom, he's on my body now.
Scary.
Yeah, but because my mom's watching Obi-Wan, I promised her I would start The Boys.
That's a fair trade.
It's definitely some moments that you want to close your eyes for, but it's truly a fantastic show. I love the true adaptation of that's probably what it would be like if superheroes existed and were controlled by the government.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite satires ever.
Yeah, I'm with you there, and I'm definitely Team Vader is scarier than Homelander, specifically because I think I could maybe convince Homelander not to kill me by outsmarting him. I don't think that would be the case with Darth Vader. I would be getting force choked quicker than I could say boo. So
I've seen Homelander breastfeed. Darth Vader will never breastfeed. So there it is. That's all I have to say.
The more you tell me about the show, the more I love that my mother loves it.
Yeah, I'm sure. There's some wait. I can't wait till you send me a DM, please, when you get to the current season, because there's lots to unpack there.
I gotta watch Hack season 2 first. That's my number one priority. I gotta see Ming-Na Wen on Hack. So after that,
I don't blame you. We're stands. We stand Ming-Na Wen.
We stand Ming-Na Wen. 100%. And so while we're still kind of near the topic of Reba, I did have one small qualm from the episode, and it's either the inconsistency or that I don't fully understand her mind reading abilities yet. Now, to me, it made sense that she wasn't fully able to infiltrate Leia. Leia's a young, force sensitive child. That makes sense. She's incredibly strong with the Force. I get that. But when she's trying to get some information out of Tala, and they're having that conversation, and she accuses her of being a liar, but I feel like, why was she not just using her powers at that point? I rewatched it, and she talks about bringing her to the what's the word I want? So inquisition. That's a hard word to say. You guys know what I'm talking about. The questioning room.
Interrogation.
Interrogation. I wanted to say
so Canadian.
like inquisitor in it. And so I couldn't remember the word
Inquisitation room.
I kept inquisitor was just stuck in my head that I couldn't think of any other word. The interrogation room. And so maybe she was just like, there's too many people around. I need to do this there, tighter location. But I kind of thought it was weird that after being so heavily prevalent in the first 2-3 episodes, it was kind of missing from this one. Did that bother either of the two of you at all?
No, because I don't know if it's mind reading so much as like when, weak-minded, you can convince someone to do something. And so the moment with Leia for me was very similar to Kylo Ren and Rey in Force Awakens. And then with Tala, I think Tala's just, has a strong mind. And it didn't really occur to me that that's what could have been going on. I was fine with it. I was more like last week we're doing research on how she got through that tunnel, but I very much accept the idea that she just went around to the other side and knew where the tunnel came out of. That seems like a very fair.
She was parkouring.
I totally had that thought in my head, and then was like, wait, am I crazy? Did that happen? Or that? No, I guess she just went around to the other side, and I wrote it off. I thought I was the only, I've never seen anyone talk about that. I thought I was the only one that had that thought. So this validates me.
Somebody said this to me, and I don't remember. It may have been Tony. I don't remember. That was like, well, if she was a youngling, maybe she's been through that tunnel before. But either way, I'm. Why are we putting our brains on things that are so little? This is like when I was a kid. I was really upset and bothered by the fact that in the original trilogy, Obi-Wan called Anakin his good friend, and then in Attack of the Clones, Anakin calls Obi-Wan his father, and then in Revenge of the Sith, they're brothers. And I'm like, the only explanation is you're lovers and you don't know how to come to terms with it. But these are nitpicky things that we should all get over. Who cares? It's a friggin' space show. I
don't know how often you've heard Layla talk, but she frequently refers to people as a lover or a brother or a dad. So I think that's just the norm for some people. Especially when it comes to a Star Wars character like Pedro Pascal or Ewan McGregor. And so I think it fits. I left Garrett speechless on that one.
No, actually, Jamie left me speechless.
Perfect, good. As long as I didn't cross any lines. I was phase 0 crossovering.
No, that was too funny.
But so I think the reason why this one was my favorite over the third episode was because, so it hasn't bothered me so far in this one because it makes complete sense. But my least favorite trope in superhero type shows is the depowering for the sake of depowering. It's one of the reasons why I like Spider-Man 1 better than Spider-Man 2. It's one of the reasons why Iron Man 3 didn't I love it so much the first one. It's just because I see enough Tony. I see enough Tony in the other movies. I want more Iron Man stuff. And so I don't love that trope. I don't feel like this is that trope because there's very good reasons for Obi-Wan to be cut off from the Force and to not have his bag right from the beginning. It makes sense. But the trope I love, even though I don't love the other one, is the power up when we get to see our hero just find it and start getting it back and start just being a badass. And Obi-Wan was still scared in episode 3, and rightfully so, because we talked about, Vader was terrifying. In episode 4, he started getting it back. We see him trying to push small objects with the Force, and it's nothing. And by the end, he's holding the water outside of the fortress. He's lightsabering everything. He's Obi-Wan again. And oh my goodness, I'm getting chills talking about it because that's why this was my favorite, just because I love the upgrade. I love the glow up. It's so exciting.
Oh, I totally agree. It's funny because first I was agreeing with you because I agree about the Spider-Man thing, but Iron Man 3 is my favorite Iron Man movie, but that's partially because I'm a big Shane Black fan and I love Christmas action. But in the case of Obi-Wan, you're so right. This man is traumatized. He went through some dark shit, and the people are hunting Jedi. He's trying to put that stuff behind him. Of course, he's hesitant to use his lightsaber and to use the Force. But the fact that he saved it for when he lit that saber in episode 3, and part of that was out of fear. He lit that saber because his old BFF boyfriend, whatever
Dad, son.
best friend, dad, like is now a horrifying murderer, and he blames himself. There's a lot of trauma. That boy needs some Tatooine therapy. There has to be one therapist on Tatooine. I mean, come on. But I thought that we weren't going to see him light the saber again until he confronted Vader again. So when he ripped open those stormtroopers, I was like, yeah! Ah!
That scene gave me like straight, like in the Batman, like Arkham games, when you like sneak around and like pick people off, when he illuminates it and then goes dark. The other dude's like, just stay where you are. And then he sneaks around behind him and lights him up. I was thrilled. I loved that. I will say though, my one qualm with the episode was in the water tunnel, like he's not making it out of that tunnel. Let's be honest.
He was using forced running to go fast.
And if he makes it out of the tunnel, which I'm totally cool with warping my mind around that, some water is coming out with him, like at least a little bit, and it was no water. I wanted some water to come out. I wanted a little bit of water to come out.
I think that if you're gonna have a base on a water moon, you're gonna have like certain things that are like contingencies for the base. Like kind of like my first thought was on Battlestar Galactica, like an early episode where like some kind of explosion happened and they just had to seal off that part of the ship, and then all those guys died. And I feel like they have to have that plan in motion for if water leaks into the is it NUR? NUR?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. They have to. And I was looking at that base and I was like, you wouldn't get my ass in there. There's no way. There's no
I guess
way I would get
that shows
there.
you like how like arrogant they are though, right? Because they're like, we don't need these defenses. No one's gonna attack us in our water moon base, which is weird because it would be like, correct me if I'm wrong, anyone in the chat or TJ, after this, Obi-Wan Kenobi is after the first Fallen Order game. So the events of Cal Kestis already infiltrating the base have already happened. So you would think like, okay, this happened once. We should have some precautions against it. But alas.
I learned about this today because I don't play games. The only video console I own is a PS2, so I can play Tony Hawk Pro Skater 3. I don't own any video games at all. I don't play video games. And so I learned a little bit, and I was like, and I hate that. I don't like that I don't know things about Star Wars. It's just like, I want to know everything, but you're not going to get me to play games. That's just not going to happen.
It's like any like reading or just like videos you can watch on it, I recommend, because Cal Kestis is such a fun character, and just like to kind of keep it spoiler free through the arc, there's a lot of my favorite part in Star Wars is those who don't embrace the Jedi or Sith institutional ideas. Like I rewatched the prequels before Obi-Wan Kenobi came out, and my fiance Ava and I are just watching it and going like, just run away together. You don't have to be a Jedi. If you're in love, you can just leave. You can still be the most powerful Force user. Like, screw these guys. And so that's why Ahsoka is my favorite character. And that's why I love Cal Kestis from the game as well, is because he kind of, yes, he believes in lots of parts of the Jedi, but he really rejects a lot of it as well. Where he interacts with some dark Force side users and stuff like that, and it's incredibly exciting. So yeah, I can't wait till we eventually get Cal Kestis in live action Star Wars. The way they just perfectly modeled the character after Cameron Monaghan as he voices him, it just makes me feel like they're going to be bringing him in at some point. But
okay, all right, I'm gonna do some research. I've talked about this a lot on Phase Zero, but I really struggle with animated shows that come from live action, like with What If, and so I've never been able to get into Clone Wars, but it's just so important now. So I'm really finally working through it, and it's getting better. It's not for me. But I need to know these things. It's important. I need to be the best Star Wars fan I can be. But I did just watch the Satine Mandalore arc, and I was like, I get it now. I get why
that's
people
a great
want
one.
her. I totally understand, and that's why I'm doing this, because I want to be big brain. So and I understood who the old man Jedi was in the tomb, and it was sad, and I was able to feel that sadness because I just met him in an episode.
And I gotta say, I brought this up last time too. So like, you don't have to go all the way through everything at a quick speed, but I will say that season finale of season 2 of Star Wars Rebels has my favorite Star Wars moments in all of Star Wars live action animated anything.
I'm excited to get to Rebels. I think I'm gonna like it more, but I have to earn it. And like people are like, just watch the Clone Wars episodes they tell you to watch. I'm not wired that way. I have to watch it all. But I'm excited because I'm also expanding into my comics realm. I just finished the Darth Vader run, and I have my Dr. Aphra omnibus that I'm so stoked about. And I'm already like, when is Dr. Aphra coming into live action? So I'm doing my work. I'm getting educated, and it's all thanks to this beautiful, perfect television program, Obi-Wan Kenobi.
I love that. I have to know though, how are you watching the Clone Wars? Are you watching it as the seasons came out, or are you watching it chronological order?
However, it's in order on Disney Plus.
It is not in order on Disney Plus. So like the way the episodes come out, it skips out of time like so often.
Well, someone send me a chart. I'm almost done with season 2. I'm kind of, I'm in it.
There's
it's
like
honestly the worst.
Yeah.
I was gonna say it's like the worst with the jumping back and forth at the beginning. The more you go forward, the better it gets. But I do really feel like Clone Wars, there are like mini arcs you can just skip. Like you can tell at a time it was like a weekly TV episode where it's like, hey, we got this one in the bank, let's throw this one out because we're not ready for the next one type of thing. So like Disney Plus used to do a thing, I don't know if it still exists, where it's like most important Clone Wars episodes and arcs, and like that's actually what I did before I watched it for the first time, and I felt like I had a pretty good grasp on it. But yeah, it has its highs and its lows, but it has some real strong content.
It's growing on me. The other day, I watch one a day, and the other day I watched 5 because that Satine arc was so good. So when it gets me, it gets me. What I'm waiting for is like, can we have some Padme Anakin romance? It's like, can we just like remind me that they're a couple or something? Is that coming at all? Well, I'll find out.
Yeah, you will. TJ, I want to ask you a question. I feel like Jamie is going to absolutely love the droid arc episodes. There's like 2 or 3 or 4 where it's like a couple episodes that it like just focuses on the droids. I feel like you're gonna love those.
I mean, I like a droid. Damon is saying
it's like C-3PO and
Damon, no, God, no.
No, I think you're gonna like though. I think it's like C-3PO, R2D2.
If it's funny,
there's some funny stuff that happens, in my opinion.
One of my favorite things about the Darth Vader comics are they basically have an evil 3PO and his little sidekick BD, and it's just so funny. It's them, but they just want to murder everybody, and that's hilarious to me. So I like my favorite droid is L3 from Solo because she's funny and sexy.
Ooh, okay.
So on the note of like, so this is one of the things that I find exciting. Since I got it's a moderate segue. It's not a great segue, but it's a moderate one. We were talking about Solo earlier. We're talking about Jedi Fallen Order, and the sequel set at the same time. Solo set around this. Do you have any kind of dream arcs or I'm trying to rid the word cameo. I don't like it because that to me implies like they show up for a cute little, hey guys, I'm here, and they aren't part of a story. Inclusion, exactly. Are there any inclusions to the last 2 episodes that you're hoping to see here? Whether it's a Force Ghost Qui-Gon, Kira from Solo, something like that?
I mean, I would love to see Force Ghost Qui-Gon. If we don't get Force Ghost Qui-Gon, it's very clearly because Liam Neeson didn't want to do it. You know what I mean? Like the fact that Revenge of the Sith teased it, it's like I've been waiting 17 years for that ghost interaction. And Liam says he's not going to do TV, but these people have lied before. So yes, I would love that so much. I would really love any kind of Anakin Obi-Wan flashback. And I know that some people like are wanting Clone Wars specific. It doesn't matter to me as long as it's cute. Like give me something. But at this point, it's just given me more than I ever could have hoped for. That I'm just like I trust whatever happens is I'm going to be very, very happy. Man, it just ties it all together so well. I have thought many times, weird that Leia named her kid Ben. They only spent one day together, and that was wrong.
I love the moment when she like grabs his hand and like her hand is so tiny in his hand and it's just so perfect. And she is doing such an amazing job too. Like, we're all gonna cry right now.
It adds so much for me when you like when Leia and Luke meet and he's like, I'm here to rescue you, and she's just not having it, and he goes, Ben Kenobi sent me, and she goes, Ben Kenobi, and it adds so much extra context to that for me, is that they went through so much and he truly was her only hope, and because they had already been through so much together. And yeah, it's not an arc I expected, and it's an arc I'm appreciating so much. I can't wait for what the final 2 episodes with Leia and Reva and Vader all give us. I'm excited.
The Luke bait and switch was so good because like, you know that like little Luke is going to be boring. Like that kid is going to be just like a doop. I'm a little boy. And like, I did not need a show about little Luke, but little Leia, that is what dreams are made of. And that was just, what an amazing surprise. I would like a little more Owen and Beru, because I think it's really cool that Joel Edgerton and Bonnie are back. And we haven't even really seen her at all. So I would like a smidge more, but I like a scene. I don't need baby Luke roaming around playing with his stuff, whatever.
We're gonna get Ben coming back being like, all right, I don't need to bother him anymore. I don't need to give him any more toys. I'm just gonna go live in my cave. And they're like, all right, cool. I guess we'll let him have this one toy then that we broke. And then we'll call it fair. We'll compromise at that. We'll go separate ways. And then that's how we meet in A New Hope.
He goes being his crazy old Ben Kenobi self. That pretty much does it for our Obi-Wan Kenobi breakdown. If you have anything in the chat that we haven't
wait, I want to say one more thing. I'm looking at my notes because some out of pocket shit happened at the end of that episode that I just want to point out. So the pilots,
also shout out O'Shea Jackson Jr.
Not being Quinlan Voss. Oh, bummer.
I was like so shocked he wasn't funny because I'm so used to him being hilarious. I was like jarring that he was. I really thought that he was going to come in cracking jokes. I was like, wow, he's a sad boy.
Yeah, he's very sad.
I said this on Phase Zero, but if you have not watched Ingrid Goes West, it's one of my favorite movies, obviously, because it stars Elizabeth Olsen. And he's so funny in it. Check it out.
It's a great movie. It is a great movie. So the pilots at the end, it's Wade, and I don't remember the other the surviving pilot's name, but so they get picked up by O'Shea, and he's like, yo, where's Wade? And she's like, he didn't make it. And then,
I guess you're soldiers now.
Oh, it just comes out, guess you're soldiers now. I would have been like, girl, we were down there for y'all. Like, you could at least be like, sorry. That's what you're gonna say? Immediately, I was sent, bro. And then it just ends. I couldn't believe I forgot to mention that, but I had to mention that. That was wild.
It was so funny when you started watching and you texted me and you were like, that Tal is gonna die this episode.
She was being hella reckless. She was being hella reckless. Yo, I was scared, but she's a good ass liar.
She is.
She's a good ass liar.
The way she can just turn it up and be like badass and like she doesn't care who she's talking to. She's not afraid.
And she can physically kick some ass too.
Hell yeah.
I like the idea of someone who started out in the Empire and then quickly was like, oh, these people are bad. Let me use my new position to infiltrate. I really like the concept of that character.
Yeah.
And she's great. I love to see the Game of Thrones people thriving in the Star Wars universe. That's wonderful.
Absolutely.
Give me more of that.
Could not agree more.
It's a great show, and we have 2 episodes left to kind of sum it all together. We're going to be breaking down episode 5 next week with Rachel Leishman from the Mary Sue. And we are also going to be back live on Twitch tomorrow, 12 p.m. Pacific time, 3 p.m. Eastern time, talking some Ms. Marvel with Mo from Streamer. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure you subscribe, make sure you hit the like button. You can find the Agents of Fandom podcast wherever you get your podcasts. We're Agents of Fandom on all the socials except Twitter, @Agents Fandom. Jaime, thank you so much for joining us today. It is a pleasure, as always, to have you on.
Thank you for having me. I love talking about Obi-Wan, and I always say this when people have me on podcasts, but it's like, it's so nice to talk about something that's not Marvel. Like, I love talking about Marvel so much. It's an amazing thing that it's my job to talk about Marvel, but like, I like other things too, and it's nice to get to talk about other things.
And recognized for your tattoos by really cool Star Wars people at that.
If you haven't, folks, checked out my recent interview with Laura Dern, her reaction to my Holdo tattoo could not have been more delightful, and to the point where now I promised Laura Dern I was going to get another Laura Dern tattoo. So
wow, that's hilarious. And your Bryce Dallas Howard interview where you were showing her your Star Wars tattoos, that was one of the coolest things ever, because
I just
she was just so blown away.
Yeah. Because I was not showing her my tattoos. It's not like with Laura Dern and Elizabeth Olsen, I have their face. So I'm going to be like, look, that was in person. I just walked into the room and Bryce Dallas just started asking about them. And so I was like, well, sure, but it just proved her excitement over my Darth Maul tattoo is further proof to me that she needs to get her own Star Wars trilogy, her own show. I think Bryce Dallas is a very good actor, but I think like her father, she is a better director than she is an actor, and that's like the career path she should continue on, because I like watching her. I really enjoy her in the Jurassic movies, whether or not you like them. I think she's really good, but I think she's an even better director and should be doing that.
Yeah, I agree with you. When it comes to Star Wars lore, I kind of view the Holy Family, the royal family, kind of as like, you got Filoni up top and then Bryce Dallas Howard and Jon Favreau beside each other. I want her to get more involved, because everything she touches in the Star Wars universe just turns to absolute gold. And yeah, kudos to that interview.
I feel like we should put George Lucas at the top.
Well, yeah, but I'm talking right now. Right now,
you
know, I'm not talking history.
Guy.
I'm talking like specifically right now. He's George. George is chilling right now. You know what I mean?
I'm just busting your balls.
His wife just bought the Minnesota Timberwolves, or sorry, the Denver Nuggets, or the Colorado Rockies, Denver Broncos. That's who it is.
A team. Yeah. Sports.
His wife just bought the Denver Broncos, so
really?
they're chilling right now. Yeah. As like part of the group that did it, she was part of it. I shout out to our guy Martin. He's a big Broncos fan. He's a fan of Phase Zero as well. He's in our Phase Zero group chats, and he's actually the one who pointed that out to me today. I'm pretty sure it was either that or a different group chat. If it wasn't, sorry, Martin. But either way, yeah, thank you so much for joining us. This has been a blast. Anytime you want to talk some more Star Wars or anything outside Marvel, hop back on, because we're talking the Marvel stuff, but
or anything in Marvel
expanded now.
Yeah, all of it, any of it.
If you just want to talk about life, we don't even have to record it.
Let's have a real like existential episode where we just really lay it all out.
That might be a lot. But
we
should start
it after the finale.
We should start by unpacking your mom's love of the boys. We'll just see how it rolls downhill from there.
And her love for the boys and her dislove for Ewan McGregor. A lot going on in that brain, that Carol brain.
What? I mean, am I missing something, or what is there to dislike about Ewan McGregor?
Ewan left his wife of a long time for Mary Elizabeth Winstead, and she's younger than him. And my mother took that personally. You know, my thing is, they're still together. They have a baby now. It's not like it was a fling. Sometimes love happens and people get hurt. I'm sorry. It's, you know, like, he's a good actor who's made a lot of good movies.
Sometimes Birds of Prey, the chemistry of Birds of Prey, it's just too magical.
And she's in Star Wars now.
But yeah, I am stoked for her. I really like her as an actor. I have since because she's been in shit for a long time. So
you should watch Rebels.
Her being in Star Wars is really going to make you want to watch Rebels, because we got some live action stuff.
I'm going to. I'm really stoked. I really think I'm going to like Rebels a lot. So I just have to get there.
Yeah, you get to earn it. I agree. It'll be worth it.
We also have, like I said, tomorrow we're going to be streaming about Ms. Marvel. You can go to agentsofandom.com, check out mine as well as our main man, Isaac Joel, his review on Ms. Marvel. Those are both up there right now and spoiler free from the first 2 episodes. So even if you haven't seen it yet, you can still check that out. Thank you so much to Jaime for joining us today. Thank you so much to all the amazing viewers who are tuning in the Twitch chat, chatting. I also want to give a special shout out to Brandon, because he was dishing out gifted subs in there earlier, and we were mid conversation, so I forgot to shout it out. So thank you, Brandon. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Brandon. We love you, Brandon.
We do. We really, really do. So on behalf of myself, our wonderful guest, Jamie, Garrett, our amazing producer, Ruben, that will do it for today's episode.
Thank you.
Peace.